Howdy folks, Bluesboyjag. Yet another 3-string cigar box guitar lesson. This is the first of a series of simple riffs. So that's a major key. And we are in the key of D. And we are tuned to open G. This is an A string tuned down to G from a regular 6-string guitar. And your 4th string D. And your 3rd string G. Open G tuning, which is very common. G, D, G. Alright, so let's get right to it. I'm using my fingers to pick. You don't have to, but I like to, so you can use a pick if you like. I've got my first finger on 1, 2, 1st string, 2nd fret, and I've got my 3rd finger on 2, 4, 2nd string, 4th fret. So I'm plucking the middle string, or the D string, with my thumb, and the 1st string with my 1st finger. That's what it should sound like. I'm only using, and I'm not flipping you off, I'm only using my 1st finger and my 3rd finger. If I tuck my finger down here, it doesn't look like I'm flipping you off, but it looks like someone cut off the end of my finger. But that's what we're doing here. So 1st finger is on, once again, 1, 2, and your 3rd finger is on 2, 4. Now we're going to move up. So now we're on the 1st string on the 4th fret and the 2nd string on the 5th. That's what it sounds like. So the first one sounds like this. Second one sounds like this. And the next one, we're going to go up to the 1st string, the 5th fret, and the 1st finger. And then you're going to use your 3rd finger on the 2nd string, 7th fret. So what you end up with is... And I'm only using 2 fingers at a time on all these chords. And the 1st and 3rd chord have the same shape. 1st finger is going to be on the 1st string, and my 3rd finger is 2 frets up on the 2nd. That's the same as this one. So you have... And I'm only using 2 fingers for each of these chords. And I'm only fretting on the 1st and 2nd strings, and I'm only plucking on the 1st and 2nd strings. So my thumb, again, is on the 2nd string, and my 1st finger is on the 1st string, plucking the 1st string. So, here is the riff. Real slow. It's the same 3 strings up and the same 3 strings back. It's sort of like I went to the went I. The way I'm plucking with these 2 fingers is pretty simple. If you looked really close, you might see a ghost strum in there. A ghost strum is a really quiet strum which helps you stay in time. So here's the ghost strum. I'm accenting that, making it extra loud. So you hear that click after that 1st chord. I'm plucking these notes twice, and then I'm hitting that ghost chord. Or I'm muting all the strings. The The easy way to do that is just simply lift your fingers off the fretboard. So when I play the chord, I press down. Then when I do the in-between beat or choke, I'm lifting those two fingers off of the fretboard. Now, why would I do that? Because it helps you stay on beat. It's a beat that you can either emphasize or not. So you can make it loud enough to where people hear it or not, either way. It's just a tool to stay on beat. Now notice I'm playing it pretty quietly. You may not even be able to hear it over there in YouTube land. So I'm going to crank up the amp just a bit, and I'll show you exactly what it sounds like. Here we go. Now I'm going to make it super pronounced by playing a little bit harder. Again, why would I want to do that? Well, it does add a little bit of a bounciness to it, just for the sound, but it also helps me stay on beat. Now, you should be tapping your foot always, 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 whenever you're playing guitar, always. Every single beat, well, maybe not every single beat, but most of the beats, you should definitely be tapping your foot. That will keep you in time, but this will also help you stay in time as well. It's just a little trick, and you can make it pronounced so that you can hear it or not. So here is the super quiet version where you can't really hear it. I mean, you're gonna hear it a little bit because I cranked up my amp. Anyway, so here is the pretty quiet way to do that little trick. Now here's the super pronounced version of it. Much more pronounced. So you have an option of either way, quiet or a little bit louder. Again, this is just a trick that helps you stay in time so you don't speed up. So your foot should always be doing this, but for whatever reason, let's just say maybe you don't want to tap your foot. So you can use your hand as your foot tapping, right? Because you're playing at the tempo with your hand, obviously. So when you pluck a chord, you're doing it on the beat that you want to do it on. So this could be your timekeeper as well. Now I just noticed that my foot is doing this as well. So I've got basically two ways of keeping time, my foot and my hand, which is always good. I'm covering my ass, in other words, so that one of those is not faster than the other, the foot or the hand. They're both together. And I would think, more than likely, that most human beings, if you play an instrument or you tap your foot and you tap your hand to a song, you're probably going to be doing it perfectly in sync. In other words, my hand and my feet are going to be in sync because it's me, right? And I'm feeling that beat. It doesn't matter what limb I'm using or what finger or whatever arm or foot I'm using to keep the beat. It's going to be the same, right? My hand doing that, generally speaking, is going to be perfectly on the same beat that my foot is if I'm tapping my foot and using my hand. So that's just a whole lot of rigmarole there to tell you that that's just a little trick. You can make that trick invisible so you can't hear it. Now look at my hand. I'm doing all this bouncing around. So that also keeps me in time. So I've got my hand doing this and I've got my foot doing this, which keeps me in time. So you can hear that. Now here's a quiet version of that. You may or may not be able to hear that over in YouTube land. I can barely hear it here when I do it like that. But going through all that 5 minutes of that may seem like overkill, but it's just a trick. It helps you stay in time. You can use it or not. I highly recommend that you do, because lots of times, myself included, I feel like sometimes, yes, I am spot on the beat. I am nailing it, and I'm not. Very often, I'm not. I'm a little off here and there, not enough to make a really big deal, right? But still, if I'm playing a solo piece, for instance, I need to be pretty much perfectly in time, but I definitely need to be super, super, super tight with my time if I'm playing with other people, like a drummer. So this just helps to keep everything steady. You don't want to end up sounding like this. It's obviously a drastic oversimplification of someone who's playing all the time, but that's the basic idea of why I do that. And you will find yourself doing things like this without even thinking about it. So if you're like, oh, I'm not doing any of that, yeah, you will do that. At some point you will. And you don't have to, but your body is going to automatically try to keep everything in time. So that's just a long rigmarole about staying in tune in time. But that's super, 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 did I say super times 6 times 12 times 36? Super, super, super important. Now, another thing that I found myself doing when I was jamming on this little riff is I do a lot of this stuff here. Again, that keeps me in time, but it also allows me to do some funky stuff. Can you hear all that? It sounds like percussion happening. It sounds like someone sitting next to me playing percussion, right? Like a little tabla or something. Pretty cool. Now here's a more quiet version of that. Another thing I do is I do a fake squeeze of the strings. So I might go, I'm just lifting off the fretboard and playing those completely muted strings. It gives it more funk, I guess, kind of cool. So if I do an extra little in between each chord, this is what it sounds like. Press down for the chord, and then I immediately, on that upbeat, play the 2 muted strings. Now some of you may be thinking, boy, he sure is going on and on and on with that tiny, short little riff. Yes, I am. It gives you lots of different options here. A lot of people don't think about some of these things. And at first, when people showed me some of these things, I was like, that's kind of overkill. I'm playing on the beat, dude, right? I don't need any more help. I definitely did need some more help. I was pushing the beat just a little bit here and a little bit there. And if you're playing solo without a drummer, it's not super, super important. I mean, it is, but it's not as important, because if one guy is off compared to the drummer, that's not good. But if you're off compared to yourself, no one knows, right? So, and everybody has their own tempo. Take that either way. Whether or not you want to do that or not is up to you. I just want to let you know what all those noises are. Now, if I play this faster, you could do something like this. However you do that, I just want to let you know that that's a really cool thing to be doing, because it does help, and it does also give you a little bit more percussion. It keeps you in time. I've played with people whose foot, they can stay with their foot and not use any other, I guess, timing techniques or timing tricks with their hands. Their foot is nice and steady, and they are perfect on time. I'm pretty good at being on time, but lots of times I need help with my hand to make sure my foot doesn't speed up or my foot doesn't get out of time. I need sometimes a limb or two to play that beat, on that beat, so that I don't speed up. And a lot of people don't have to do that, but a lot of times I do, especially if I'm playing a slow song and I hit a chord. When I'm doing that, my foot is definitely doing this. So just be real careful with the timing there. So all this is really is kind of a practice lick to show you some beats and some cool little riffs. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Check out my website, jagshouse.com. Cigar box guitars just like this one, now in my 20th year. And we'll see you next time.